what you know about the pirates terrorize the ocean. To never know a simple day without a big commotion. It can't be healthy just to live with such a steep emotion. And when I try and sleep, I see coffins closing. Yeah.
Hello and welcome. Somalia's pirates are making the headlines around the world, but as much as the US and other governments meet to discuss how to tackle them, there are those who say they aren't as bad as they're made out to be. They belong to a country that hasn't had a functioning government for almost 2 decades, where warlords and tribes make the laws and enforce them as they see fit, and children are armed with automatic weapons. Ever since the Somali Civil War began in 1991, pirates have been active along the shoreline of the Indian Ocean and in the Gulf of Aden. Last year, more than a dozen countries, including America, China, India, Russia and Japan, sent military ships to guard the seaways, but things have only gotten worse. A tense standoff between Somali pirates who'd hijacked an American ship and taken its captain hostage ended, not so peacefully, but several new attacks have already taken place since then. My guest today is not only a hip-hop artist who's taking the world music scene by storm, he's also a native Somali with a unique perspective on the situation in his homeland. Kanan Warsame, or better known as Kenan, fled the bloodshed in Somalia at the age of 13. He finally settled in Toronto, where he's been rapping and writing poetry based on his experiences back home and as a member of the growing Somali diaspora. Kenan uses traditional Somali rhythms and instruments in his music, as you can see from this preview of his latest album, Troubadour.
I'm from the most risky zone, oh, no place is more shifty global. More pistols, Russian revolvers. We shooting all that is normal, but it ain't just because we want to. We ain't got nowhere we can run to. Somebody please press the undo. They only teach us the things the guns do.
Sound of Kenan, who joins us today as we look closer at the Somali piracy issue and ask, can peace and order be restored to this war-torn country? Remember, you can join our conversation with your questions and comments, and we welcome your phone calls on the show as well. Kenan, great to have you on the program.
Hey, Riz, thank you very much for having me.
It's a real pleasure. You know, I'm going to start off with the Somali pirates thing because, of course, that's been making the news today and over the last couple of days, a big story for the international media. Now, I know that you say, as many people do, that there is something a little more to this story. So what do you think is the most misunderstood thing about this whole issue?
Well, I think that the most misunderstood part of it is that it has no basis, no roots. And I'm not talking about, when I say basis, it's not the same as justifications, but in fact, just basis, just how it came to be that there are pirates. I think that that's probably the most undiscussed thing in major media today. It's as if they just sprung from nowhere. But Somalis have long known about the issues that have started this kind of pirate movement that's going on in the coast.
Let me ask you to answer an email question that came in. You know, our viewers take questions on this show, and this one came from Edmonton in Canada, where Faisal Jama, who wrote in saying, I couldn't agree more with Kenan. Somalis are pirating foreign ships from G8 and G20 nations. Frankly, I don't condone stealing, but I'm in solidarity with our people for showing their resistance against Western and Northeast Asian trespassers who go into Somali waters and steal their fish and dump toxic waste onto their beaches. Now, I know you're one of those who say that the story of the dumping on the Somali coast has been ignored by the Western and international media. What have you managed to find out about it? What information do you have about what's been going on?
Well, there is the local information that I would get from family members who live in the region, uncles and aunties who have a first-hand connection to what's going on, but also what's starting to be covered now. There's a Huffington Post article on the situation and the dumping of the toxic waste. There's also the issue, the completely unresolved issue of the journalist Ilaria Alpi from Italy, who had been trying to cover and expose the issue of the dumping of the toxic waste by Italian corporations and so on, and who has been killed in Somalia. And we believe she's been killed because she's been onto something in trying to expose this issue. And so I think the issue is just now starting to be covered a little bit, but it's definitely far from explored.
Of course, many people, I'm going to put another email to you. Many people believe, pretty much what they're hearing. And this email from Alberta in Canada, from MN Baig, says, anybody who condones piracy off the coast of Somalia needs his head examined. Nobody's dumping any waste on Somalia's coast. This is a new one. these pirates are a menace to the civilized world and should be dealt with accordingly. So, of course, for a lot of people, the media reports are just straightforward. In terms of the roots of the piracy, you were saying they haven't just sprung up, that there is something a little deeper. From what you know, what are the origins of the people who are doing what they're doing now off the coast?
Well, like the email that you just read, I mean, of course, anyone who condones piracy definitely needs their heads examined. I don't need my head examined because I actually don't condone it. I don't condone any kind of a robbery. I don't think that robbery at sea or in land is a good thing. I mean, we're human beings who are trying to abide by the laws of nature, and nobody wants to take hostages, and anybody who's doing that is not justified. But what the point of what anybody is saying on this subject, any new information that's coming in, really has a lot more to do with the causes that not only this country that has been completely destabilized, whose youth are in the streets with guns fighting for their lives and trying to eat, to the pirate situation. This is a country that's completely a failed state, and you're going to have issues on land, you're going to have issues at sea. It's just the sea issue comes from something a little more sinister than we've been led to believe. And so that's kind of, I'm sorry if I didn't get to your, I've been preoccupied with the email.
No, that's okay. No, because I think as you say, that perhaps people are very emotional about this story, the way it's being covered as well. But let's get Mohammed on the line from Kenya, who wants to add something to the debate. Mohammed, what would you like to say?
Yeah, my question is, it's very easy to get Somalia in peace and back in track if the world, the Western world especially, and Ethiopia will keep off meddling with Somali problems. We understand that this piracy you see has been created by some of the Western world.
Actually, Kenan, that's an issue that a lot of people are saying is that obviously the pirate story may be a bit of a distraction from what is going on. And you yourself mentioned armed children, the warlords controlling things, the human trafficking, the disaster, the humanitarian disaster taking place. The pirate story may be a bit of a distraction. To what extent do you think that there hasn't been enough attention or enough effort to try and resolve the core issues of what's going on in Somalia?
Well, let's just say that, the United Nations has just declared that there are 4 million Somalis at risk. This is a humanitarian disaster. The UN is asking for over $900 million in aid to try and support the Somali people. Not a fraction of that has been managed by the world. Yet the world has been able to assemble the world's navies into Somalia's shore, which I suspect is much more expensive than, in fact, trying to figure out some of the root causes. I think Somalia is one of the most ignored places in the world. The UN has also said it's a more problematic humanitarian disaster at the moment than even Darfur. Which is saying a lot. And so I think that there's a lot that the world is doing to kind of look away from the major issues of Somalia. And maybe this pirate situation that's going on has brought a little bit more attention to the issues.
Mahabu's on the line from Ottawa in Canada. Mahabu, thanks for joining us. What would you like to ask?
My question, there is a question and there is a statement.
Okay, quickly, please.
The question is, if this young people that they are calling pirates are grabbing ships, boarding ships and grabbing them and grabbing people from international waters, they are wrong and that is illegal. But if the ships are going to Somali shores without permission, as we know, ships and foreign vessels has to have permissions to come into shores to for other countries. So if they are going dumping toxics or fishing or simply going the shores of Somalia without permission, then that is illegal. And
right,
anybody to grab anybody is illegal too. So
okay.
it is
Actually that's an interesting point that Mahabu makes, is that there is kind of a strange situation. The lawlessness seems to be leading to a lot that's going wrong. Actually, Kenan, I'm going to ask you to stand by because we're going to take a very short break here. But what I'll do is I'll get back to you and we'll discuss more of these issues and some of your music, which has reflected life as a Somali in the diaspora, and some of the issues taking place back at home. We're going to take this short break. More of our discussion with Somalia's most famous rapper in a moment. Don't forget, you can join the conversation in livestation.com, and we'll be right back.